Morning, morning, morning. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Love 500 and welcome back to another day on Loopy Harold. Hopefully today, by the end of today, we will get this damn inlet manifold off. Let's get into it right now. Right, at the start of the day. It's a nice sunny day today. It is very cold, but it is a nice sunny day today. So I'm going to start take the throttle body off again, take the fuel rail off again, give me more access, take the coil pack off again, just to get in there. Thanks for all of those messages that you left on the last video. Numerous messages, a lot of you telling me to heat it up, which I never actually thought about doing. Someone suggested I start the engine and let the residual heat do the job, but that's a good idea actually. But as I've got this water leak underneath, and obviously there is water in it, but I don't know whether it's going around the engine properly or not at the moment, so I don't want to start the engine any more than I need to be honest, until I've at least got this bit sorted out. So I have got a fireproof mat that I use when I've done a bit of welding, so I'm going to, because there are wires down there. Can't see them at the moment, but there are wires down there, so obviously I don't want to risk burning anything and melting any cables, so I'm not going to worry about the other bolts for the minute, because I know they'll come out. I only put them back in last weekend, and then I think the battery tray has to come out to get that final one out, but it's the one that's causing the problems is the one I want to try and get out if I can first. So let's get on with it. I'm not going to film it because you've seen it before, but I'll have a go, take all these bits off, and then we'll see if heating it up is going to do the job. Also, let's just turn the light on. I've also spent a fortune on spanners as well. So I say a fortune. I bought these spanners, these funky little things. I bought this. All 13mm these. Well, that's 30mm. Obviously, that's adjustable. You saw this one in the last video. That one didn't work. Nut splitters didn't work. When I went down to the body shop to pick up Beige Girl, the guy there, I told him what had happened, showed him a photograph of the nut and whatever, and he said he's got these set that are meant to get off those types of nuts. So I haven't tried it yet. I've got the 13mm on my socket, so once I've heated it up, I'm going to give that one a go first. But let's get all those bits and pieces off first anyway. Okay, so I haven't had much luck so far. I've tried heating it. I couldn't get the heated mat, which is there, couldn't get it in there, just couldn't get it in there to cover the wires, so I didn't use a blowtorch. What I did do is I tried the heat gun, heated it up with that. I could see the outer casing of the wiring starting to melt a little bit, so I stopped doing it. The next thing I tried was chiseling it. No chance. It was just, I don't want to damage the nut too much. Obviously I was trying to chisel it off, but it was just sort of damaging the nut rather than splitting it. I don't know why. They're made of like the hardest substance known to man, these nuts. So the next thing I tried after that, I tried all my various different spanners. I tried this thing that the body shop gave me. It's just too big, I can't get it in there. So I tried a Dremel. I haven't got a blade for the Dremel, and I don't think the Dremel will get in there anyway. I tried a multi-tool. That can't get in the gap. Nothing can get in the damn gap. I tried one of my newfangled spanners. Nothing, no good. I tried that spanner. Can't even get that on it. Nothing. So what I resorted to was a big hefty chisel, and I've cut one of the bolts off, and as you can see the bolt is now exposed. Now I haven't tried to get anything, a socket, a spanner, anything on it, but that's what I've broken off, those bits there. Off, not cut off. So now I'm going to try and get something on there. Now I've got a bit of leverage, I might be able to get something on there. Fingers crossed, because I think the damaged bit of the nut, let me see if I can point to it, the damaged bit of the nut I think is there on that left hand side, although I've damaged it a bit more now of course with the chisel, but with limited access from the top here, I could only get it on one angle, but now I've got that, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get a socket in on it, and please let it undo. Let's try. We'll be back shortly, hopefully. It's off. There's the mullered thing. I thought, first of all, I thought the stud was coming out, and I actually used a 14 in the end I used a 14mm socket on it. 13 mil, no 30 mil sockets, no 13 mil spanner or anything would go on it, so it was a 14 mil in the end that did it. It took a lot of getting off, lots of tiny little turns still, because there still wasn't much space, but it's off. And let's show you it. As you can see, I mean, that's been mullered by me today, a lot of that with the chisel. But I suppose you can see, because it's so deformed and sort of pushed outwards, I guess, that's why 13mm wouldn't get on it. So I still don't really understand why it wouldn't come off. Luckily, I've got some spares of these, which came off of the last breaker project Cooey. So obviously I've got a full set. I don't need the full set. So I'm going to take off now all the ones that I'd already taken off before, and then there's one elusive one which I think I've got to take the battery tray out to get to, which is sort of the other underneath one. Some I can get to, the other underneath one there I can get to. That came off before, so I've got to take that off, take all the top ones off. Everything else is off, all the electrical connections are disconnected. The fuel rail, obviously I'll be putting this fuel rail back on, so I'm not even going to bother disconnecting it. Yeah, so then I'll get I'm going to make sure, I'm going to have a look at it. Now, I have ordered a new, let me swap over so you can see what I'm talking about. So part of the comments that you made, as well as telling me how to get that off, and again, I do appreciate you giving me all the advice on and ideas on ways to get it off, and it is off, so great. But what you also said, or more than one of you, 2, 3 of you maybe, mentioned the knock sensor. One person mentioned that once before, and I believe he said the knock sensor is just above the starter motor. So I peered through, and if you remember I was mentioning those wires that I didn't want to burn, I think that's the plug for the knock sensor. So the knock sensor looks like it's much easier to get to before you put the inlet manifold on. So what I'm contemplating doing is I'll verify that when I eventually do get this inlet manifold off, which will be like Christmas. And if it's easier to do from the top, it hasn't come yet. I don't think it's going to come till next week. So I'm tempted to leave it until next week, change the knock sensor, then put it all back together. That does, of course, not tell us then if it was the knock sensor, because if I put it all back on and it's still like it, your ideas are that it's probably the knock sensor. And I know multi-ECU scan gives you proper plain English descriptions of what the problem is, but I know a lot of you, it also gives you the P codes, the error codes as well, and I know a lot of you said that error code is a knock sensor, so it could be the knock sensor. Obviously I've destroyed that now by cutting bits of it off, but yeah, let's wait and see what it looks like when I get it off. I'm not going to film it all. I'm going to get the battery out, take all those other nuts off. I might film me actually physically taking it out of the car. Might have a little fanfare playing in the background, which I'll add post-production. And yeah, let's see. I'll be back in a minute or in a few seconds for you, once I'm ready to literally lift it out of the car. See you in a minute. What an absolute nightmare. As you can see, I've taken off the engine management system brackets. I've taken off the hoses on the thermostat. I've undone plugs. I've taken a hose off somewhere else over here. Electrical connections. So it's down there. It's just behind there, and I've just got it off. I've spent ages getting that off. I could not get anything on it to then turn. Open-ended spanner, ring spanner, socket, you name it, I couldn't get anything on it. I managed eventually to get it to crack with that socket, and then I've been gradually doing it, fraction of a centimetre each turn, and then it got to the point where I could push it round with my fingers. I thought to myself, someone said you can get to it from underneath, so I jacked the car up, stuck an axle stand underneath, got underneath. You can't get anywhere near it. Well, I say you can't, you must be able to, but you can't see it because the gearbox is in the way. Maybe if you're up on a ramp in a workshop and you've got plenty of room and probably the right types of extension tools for a socket, you can get a 10mm socket, 13mm socket on it and do it, but absolute nightmare. But it's off. I say it's off. All the bolts are now undone, so it's loose. So I've got to take off the vacuum hose. I think that whatever that is has got to come off as well. I'm not quite sure what that is. and then hopefully it should just lift away. I can put you on time lapse and film it, and hopefully it will be off within seconds, and then we can have a look, see where this knock sensor is, and maybe take that out and then wait until I've got that in the post next week, and leave it till next week and put the new one back in. Unless the knock sensor is, I know someone said it was above the starter motor, but I don't know how easy it is to actually get to it, but we'll see when we get this off anyway. Let's get it off first. So we're sort of getting somewhere now. So I mean, you saw all the bolts are now off. You saw that. You may have seen me on time lapse trying to actually get the physically get the thing out. There isn't enough room. When you get it clear of the studs, or you can't get it clear of the studs. As you try and get it clear of the studs, it hits the top of the bulkhead. So I've had a look in the Haynes manual. Now bearing in mind, I've been looking and doing this for a few days, well, a couple of weeks or so now. And of course none of you have mentioned it either, and I know some of you have done it. In fact, I had a message on eBay from someone who bought the spare one that I had, because I had two spare ones, and I sold one of them on eBay, and I had a message on eBay from one of those, from the person that bought that, who actually is a subscriber on the channel, and he said he had exactly the same things as me, same problems as me. He swapped the inlet manifold and all the problems went away. So there's been no mention by anyone of what you have to do to actually physically get the inlet manifold out. I've just had a look in the Haynes manual, and it says you have to release the exhaust pipe at the back and in the middle. You have to take the bolts off of the gearbox to engine mounting, and then you have to take off that engine mounting, lower the engine down to get that to come out. How ridiculous is that? Now, why has no one mentioned that? Is that a fact, or is there another way of doing it? I believe someone might have mentioned having to take out the compressor. You have to, I think someone said you have to take the release the alternator. I mean, the alternator is obviously under the condenser. I don't want to be messing around taking condensers out, and there's no mention of that in the Haynes manual, which is a bit odd. So I don't know. I'm going to upload this video tonight, ready for going live at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, on Sunday morning. If any of you have done this, or if you know if there's an easier way of getting this out, preferably without dropping the engine, please let me know. I can't see any way. As I say, you try and clear the studs and it hits this piece here, so you've got to somehow get it underneath this bit, which is probably another 3 or 4 inches extra distance to go backwards, just to get it to clear the studs. Once it's cleared the studs, it will just lift out, and then presumably you put the new one in, obviously as a reverse of doing that. So this is not a job I want to ever do again. I'm sure we will get to the bottom of it. And what I am hoping, of course, is once I get it all done, all the plugs plugged back in, all put back together, it's going to actually bloody work. I did look in the Haynes manual about the knock sensor, and it does say about doing that from underneath, but I may leave it because it's going to be easier to get to from the top. So I think as the inlet manifold is going to be off anyway, I might as well leave it off and do it from the top when it comes, and change it anyway for the sheer hell of it. I don't care whether it's that or not. I want it working, so I'm going to change it anyway. So yeah, I appreciate your comments. How do we progress from here? Do I tomorrow come out here and drop the engine? I'm not going to worry about the exhaust pipe, I don't think, but because you've got the flexible section anyway. So if I undo the mounted, obviously jack the engine up first. Jack the engine up, undo the gearbox to engine mounting, wherever that is. That's not that one, is it? No, that's just the gearbox mounting. That's obviously underneath somewhere. Remove that. Remove that one, and then gradually lower the engine, presumably until this bit falls below there. So you can then tip that bit backwards, or push it backwards. So it will then clear the studs. Will clear the studs, and then you can lift the damn thing out. So yeah, repeating myself again. So yeah, again, appreciate your comments. Any ideas you got on an easier way to get this damn thing out, please let me know in the comments. At least I've got the bolts undone at long last. I've probably been out here maybe 3 hours doing this, so I really don't ever want to do this again. I much prefer doing the bodywork. So this was an experiment to see about buying a customer's car, a Copart customer's car. So as we know, this car was bought by somebody in September, and in fact one of the subscribers actually found it on, there's that Irish website where you can look up auctions, car auctions, and you can see what cars went for and when, and see the pictures that are on the auction and so on and so forth. So he actually sent me the pictures, so I'll put some of those up now, and then those pictures show the damage. So someone's bought it in September, repaired the damage. I think it was bumper, bonnet. I think that was probably about it actually. Bumper, bonnet. They've repaired that, driven it a bit. I can't remember what the mileage was, but they've driven it a bit. Something's happened to it. They've given up, whacked it back through Copart. I took a bit of a gamble, bit of an experiment really, on whether it was a good idea to buy a car like that. Whereas, you know, normally I'm the one who repairs the fronts of them, but I thought I'd give it a bit of a gamble. Didn't really know that it was what the problem was going to be, if there was going to be a problem. I knew it wasn't a run and drive, but I expected coil pack, something like that, something stupid, something easy that I'd done before, but that wasn't to be. So yeah, inlet manifold I never want to touch again. Hopefully I never will. You know, you live and learn. So again, thanks for watching. If you are a casual subscriber, please like, share and subscribe, and we will see you in a couple of days' time. Thanks for watching. Cheers.